Hey everyone, welcome back to my Dev Web App channel. Today I'll provide and explain several code examples related to the event loop in browser environments. Questions about the event loop are frequently asked in JavaScript interviews because it shows your understanding of core JavaScript concepts and to writing efficient non-blocking code. So I have an example and let me explain my code. I have index.html and as you can see script is added and I have some code in script and I run my application locally in Chrome browser and will explore console. Okay, and can you guess what the output of this code will be? Okay, and let me save the code and that will refresh the server and we'll see console log. Okay, and as you can see, the first console log was start, and then we see end. And only after that, console log timeout was executed. Also, we see here 0 seconds, but we are dealing here with event loop, and also we have micro task queue, and this code was added to macro task queue and executed later after the call stack. Let's see the next example. I'll copy this code and provide to my script and save. And can you guess the answer now? Okay, let me save. And as you can see, we have start and end promise. And this time promise was added to microtask queue and executed later after the main code. Okay, and let's go to the next example. And I'll copy and paste it. And let me remove one timeout. And let me save and see the answer. Okay, and this time we have start, the first line, then end, the last line, and then we have console log promise, and only then timeout. That's because microtask queue has a priority over the macrotask queue, and this code was executed first. And now let's add one more timeout and provide timeout 2, and let's check. And as you can see, we have timeout 1 and timeout 2. But if we add here some time, then we'll have timeout 2 and only then timeout 1. Let's move on to the next example, and I'll copy this code and provide it here. And let's check the code. We have console log start, and then we have creation of promise, and then we have set timeout, and after some timeout we resolve the promise and provide console log, and then we have console log promise created, and also some timeout, and at the end we have console log end. And let's save and see. And as you can see, we have start. It's our call stack, and then we have promise executor. That's because we are creating promise during call stack, and for now we haven't called this promise. And then we have promise created, and then end. And now we added some timeout and added it to macro task queue and with some timer, and it was executed. And then we have timeout with 1000, and it was executed as well. And let's try to change time here and run. And as you can see, this time we have this timeout first and then the second timeout. Okay, and let's move to the next. Okay, and let me show you blocking code. I'll provide my code here, and let's see. As you can see, we have while, and we are running this loop for 3 seconds. We have some variable, and then we provide seconds for start and end. Okay, and let me save and check the console. As you can see, our code from line 1 was started in 52 seconds. Okay, and then we blocked our code for 3 seconds. And please note we have timeout for 1 second, but our code was blocked and timeout was not executed in 1 second. Instead of that, we have blocking code in our main call stack, and only then our line 15 was executed, and we saw end, and only then timeout was executed. And that means that this time, like 1 second, can be more, and it was 3 seconds in our case. Okay, and now let me show you one example from JavaScript info, and we have some example, and I'm going to copy it and paste it to my code, and let me open my console, and let's check. We have console log 1. Let's try to guess the output, and in call stack we have 1. Then let's check. We have timeout and promise, and all this timeout will be added to macro task, and let's mark like macro task, and we'll have console log, but then we have promise, and in promise will be added to micro task. Okay, and then we'll have console log 3 in micro task. And then we have promise, but after promise we have set timeout and console log 4. Let's think about where we should add this code. And we have promise, and all this code we need to add to micro task. Okay, and the next line is promise and console log 5, and we'll add it here. And then we have set timeout and console log 6. Okay, and the last line is console log 7 will be executed immediately. Okay, and now our event loop will go to microtasks queue and starts execute this console log 3, and then we can remove this task, and then it will execute set timeout, and we'll add console log 4 to macro task queue, and we can remove this, and then we'll have console log 5. Okay, and now we don't have any tasks in micro task queue, and we can remove it, and then event loop will start execution of the macro task, and we can add 2 to console, and then we'll have 6 and only then 4. Okay, let me save and check our output, and as you can see we have 1, 7, 3, 5, 2, 6, and 4. Okay, and our solution was correct, and we can go to the next example. And this time I'll show you a real life example. Let me save this code And can you guess now? Okay, let me save it and check. As you can see, we have start, then end, and as you can see, we are making fetch requests to an API, and then we retrieve response, and console log response received was provided. Okay, and then we have data from an API. Okay, and let's check more complex example, not complex, but with async await. Let me copy code and provide it here. We have the same endpoint and almost the same code as in previous example, but this time we are working with async await function. And let me save and check. As you can see, we have before fetch call, then we have our function execution, and we have console log start page. And then we have await and fetching data. But we are waiting and added it to microtask queue, and this code was executed immediately after fetch call. But now we have code in our microtasks queue, and as we don't have code in our call stack, we can execute code from microtasks queue, and then we'll have this response and then data. And as you can see, we provided data, and as you can see, then we have promise, and page completed was added here. And that's all that I have for today. If you like the video, subscribe to my Dev Web App channel. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.